Let's talk about one of the most incredible stories in business history. I mean, it's just wild. We're going to break down the absolutely insane rise of Nvidia.
So right now, Nvidia is pretty much the undisputed king of artificial intelligence. They have a market value that has shot past $4 trillion. To put that in perspective, that is more than the GDP of 185 countries combined. From OpenAI to Google, literally everyone is using Nvidia to power the entire AI revolution. But what if I told you that this absolute titan of tech was once a failing company? A company so close to the edge it had only 30 days of cash left in the bank. 30 days from just disappearing forever.
And that is the real story here. How does a company on the brink of death become one of the most valuable, most powerful companies on the planet? Well, that is the $4 trillion question, isn't it?
Okay, so let's rewind the clock. We're going back to the early 1990s. The PC revolution was just getting started. And you have to remember, computers back then were, well, they were these bulky, expensive, and let's be honest, kind of boring machines. You used them for spreadsheets, maybe some Word documents, and that was about it. Now, at the very heart of all this was the chip. It's like the invisible brain doing all the heavy lifting. Every single time you tap or swipe or click on anything, a chip is performing millions of calculations faster than you can even blink to make it all happen. It's really the magic behind the screen. And then, something totally incredible happened. Video games just exploded onto the scene, moving from these flat little pixelated things into these immersive 3D worlds. And this created a massive problem. Computers just couldn't handle it. They weren't built for that kind of chaos. The sheer scale of this challenge was immense. I mean, look at this. A game like Mario 64 needed about 100 million calculations a second. Modern games, we're talking over 36 trillion. Every explosion, every shadow, every single little detail, it all requires this staggering amount of computational power. So while the rest of the tech world was busy chasing business software and pretty much saw video games as just, toys for kids, Nvidia's co-founder Jensen Huang, he had what you'd call a non-obvious insight. He saw something that absolutely everyone else was missing. Jensen's core belief was this: the incredibly complex, real-time demands of gaming. That was the ultimate stress test. He figured if a chip could handle rendering a chaotic virtual battlefield perfectly, then that same exact chip could be used to solve the hardest problems in medicine, in science, in robotics, you name it. For him, gaming wasn't the end goal, it was the training ground for the future of computing. So, with that idea, in 1995, Nvidia launched its very first product, the NV1 chip. They even managed to land a huge partnership with the gaming giant Sega. I mean, on paper, it looked perfect, a surefire hit. But then, disaster struck. You see, their NV1 chip was technologically brilliant. It was this amazing piece of engineering designed to handle everything: graphics, sound, controls, the whole shebang. And it was built on this really unique approach to 3D graphics, using these complex curves to make virtual worlds look incredibly smooth and realistic. The problem was, at the exact same time, Microsoft basically changed the lack. They released a brand new standard for all game developers called DirectX, and suddenly, Nvidia's beautiful key, it no longer fit. So here's where it all went wrong. It was this core disagreement. Nvidia bet the entire future of graphics was on these smooth, complex curves for ultimate realism. But Microsoft's new standard, DirectX, it made a rule. Everything had to be built from simple, fast rendering triangles. Nvidia's entire approach was now fundamentally incompatible with where the whole industry was going. And the result? Complete and total market rejection. Game developers just ignored the NV1 chip. Of the 250,000 units they actually managed to sell, distributors sent 249,000 of them right back. The failure? It was absolutely catastrophic. And this is where the story almost ends. Nvidia was just hemorrhaging money. They were down to their last 30 days of cash. The company was collapsing. And honestly, the entire Silicon Valley was laughing at them. In this moment of pure desperation, Jensen Huang gathered his remaining engineers and made one of the most insane bets in the history of technology. He proposed a plan that broke every single rule of how you're supposed to manufacture a chip. I mean, this was truly a madman's plan.
A modern chip is like a microscopic city with billions of connections. If you make one mistake, one tiny miscalculation in the software simulation, you've just mass-produced a million broken chips and you've spent millions of dollars you do not have. It was an all-or-nothing roll of the dice.
So after 8 weeks of just agonizing, nail-biting waiting, the new chip finally arrived from the factory. They plugged it in, they powered it on, and it was a miracle. The Riva 128 chip worked perfectly. No bugs, no glitches, nothing. It was so good that Nvidia sold 1 million units in the first 4 months. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a total rebirth.
Riding this incredible wave of success, Nvidia didn't just play catch-up. Oh no. In 1999, they decided to change the game entirely by inventing the world's first graphics processing unit, or GPU. You might have heard of it, the GeForce 256. The best way to think of it is like this. A normal CPU, the main brain of a computer, is like having a few brilliant, genius workers doing really complex tasks, but one by one. A GPU, on the other hand, is like having an entire army of thousands of workers all doing simple tasks at the exact same time. This is called parallel processing, and for graphics, and as we're about to see for AI, it is an absolute superpower. But Jensen had another non-obvious insight. He saw that this GPU army could do way more than just play games. It could calculate a rocket's trajectory or simulate human cells. So in 2006, he bet the entire company again, pouring all their profits into a software platform called CUDA. CUDA was basically a key that would let any programmer unlock the GPU's massive parallel power for any kind of problem, not just graphics.
But here's the crazy thing. CUDA was revolutionary, but it was maybe 10 years ahead of its time. It was like inventing a rocket engine before anyone had even thought about going to space. So for 6 long years, this incredible, powerful tool just sat there. Futuristic, amazing, but largely unused. And then, in 2012, everything changed. In a quiet lab somewhere, a few researchers working on an AI model called AlexNet had this wild idea. They thought, hey, instead of using some massive, expensive supercomputer, what if we tried to train our AI on just a few Nvidia gaming GPUs, using that CUDA software? The result was just astonishing. AlexNet didn't just win the world's biggest AI competition, it completely obliterated the competition. It was the big bang moment for modern AI, and it proved 3 critical things all at once. 1, that AI could truly learn on its own. 2, that GPUs were the perfect engine for it. And 3, that Nvidia's CUDA was the secret sauce that made it all possible. All of a sudden, the world finally caught up to Jensen Huang's 6-year-old vision. After AlexNet, everyone from Google and Facebook to Tesla and OpenAI realized they needed Nvidia's hardware and its software to build the future. And that was the spark that ignited Nvidia's meteoric rise to a $4 trillion company. Nvidia's story is just such a powerful lesson in vision, in resilience, and in the power of betting on an idea that absolutely no one else believes in. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What world-changing technology, maybe dismissed today as just a toy or some niche interest, is being built right now on someone's non-obvious insight? What's going to be the next Nvidia?